there has been a rather dramatic and very strange twist in India's humanitarian mission to quake-struck Myanmar. An Indian Air Force C-130J Hercules carrying critical relief supplies reportedly faced a chilling threat in the skies. Many are claiming it to be GPS spoofing. We still are awaiting what really happened. But we are talking about this because could this be New Age warfare? We decode that. On 29th of March, the aircraft encountered navigational anomalies over southern Myanmar, and the crew acted fast, switching to backup systems, avoided disaster. Now, according to some reports, the skies were thick with interference, red zones of spoofing activity lighting up the map. Experts opine that the pattern possibly could mean targeted jamming. Again, there is no final official word on this, but could this be the way forward? Where did it come from? Is it about covert intelligence installations? IAF confirmed the anomaly, raised a pressing question: who is targeting peace missions with weapons of electronic warfare? The skies over Myanmar are no longer just turbulent, they're allegedly contested. And somewhere someone may be testing the limits of peace as well, through precision deception, which is why the big questions that we're asking on India Global today. First up, which is that was IAF jet GPS spoofed over Myanmar? Next question, are foreign powers testing military-grade spoofing technology, something that could really change the way how relief operations happen going forward? The next question I'm asking on India Global today, how vulnerable are military and civilian aircrafts when it comes to digital deception? And lastly, is GPS spoofing becoming the stealth weapon of 21st century? As I said, is this now new age warfare that we are seeing here? With Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman joining me on the show along with Bidhayak Das, who's a Southeast Asia expert. Wing Commander Abhishek, let me start by asking you, there are too many questions that are up in the air, and some would say very disturbing questions, isn't it?
Absolutely nothing can be discounted, and the kind of geopolitical situation that prevails in South Asia and in fact around the world at present. Testing and checking up of latest technology is an ongoing process, and particularly in a scenario like ours, wherein we have adversaries on the northern front, on the western front, and now with the changing emerging situation on the eastern front as well. So you can't discount the fact of deliberate spoofing. However, the official statement that has come out from the Air Force is that the IAF crew are well capable of handling such unavailability while ensuring safety of the flight and achievement of the designated tasks or missions.
Okay.
Spoofing the GPS, actually, what it leads to is it actually leads to confusion about the exact position of the aircraft in the air. So, which consequently creates a confusion on the onboard systems, making the ascertaining of the right position of the aircraft in the air difficult for the air crew.
However, it doesn't
However, in case of these humanitarian aids where transport aircraft are involved, there are backup systems in place. In fact, the crew have a dedicated navigator on board, consists of a navigator on board. So it, in real terms, it won't lead to a major fiasco. But yes, in case of combat missions or something on those lines,
that's a very important point you made. Let me quickly get in Bidhayak Das as well on it, that, you know, which is that this may be a relief op. The damage would have been very contained, limited. But what happens if it's not a relief operation? Questions that we are asking become that much more significant in combat situations. Bidhayak Das. Unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry. Thank you. And I said I totally agree with the Wing Commander that you cannot discount anything, especially in the eastern theater here, in the eastern frontier, the way things have unfolded in the last not 4 years after the coup, but even before that. There's been a level of sophistication that you would not believe. I've spent a lot of time in Myanmar and I've seen the kind of sophistication that these, I'm not talking about the state here, the military junta has also a level of sophistication that we actually cannot imagine, which is why they're still sustaining themselves. And the non-state actors that is all over Myanmar. If you look from the top tip, the north, right down to the east, where is the Thailand border, you have all these groups spread out, and all of them are highly capable today of using both electromagnetic and electronic warfare and which they are actually doing insofar as their battle is concerned with the military junta, their common enemy inside Myanmar. But just coming back to what happened with the spoofing thing that's going on, and the Indian Air Force has clarified. There was a notum also from the authorities in Mandalay. And given the situation that day on the 28th of March, the earthquake, 7.7 magnitude, the entire support system had collapsed, the ATS had collapsed. So I think we are reading too much into what happened if there was actually an intentional spoofing. But you never know what's happening in Myanmar, because
these are disturbing questions, because they are disturbing times that we are in. And Wing Commander Matiman, which brings me to ask you that what are the learnings from this specific instance? Because at the end of the day, that is most important, so that similar situations, if they arise not in relief operations time, then the outcomes remain under control.
Just for the information of our viewers, this is not the first time we have faced this kind of a situation. In fact, during operations, going as far back as Op Vijay, during Kargil times, we faced similar kind of problems in contested airspace while the Operation Safed Sagar was on. The IAF aircrafts were able to detect interference with the GPS signals, and so it doesn't come as something very new to the IAF. We had learnt our lessons then, and as far as the aircrew and the machines go, there are backup systems to Bangkok, and consequently the aircrew are always on their toes to deal with such kind of an eventuality. Ultimately, the mission success being the key.
Indeed. Bidhayak Das, the fact you mentioned non-state actors, especially in a zone as hotly contested, as deeply troublesome as Myanmar is. What happens in situations like this when there are too many non-state actors and the state apparatus is weak and incapable of handling situations?
So that's where the danger is, right? Because you have a situation where there is an earthquake, there has to be relief going in, different countries are actually going in with the relief, and you don't know what's happening in the airspace. Which the different actors, what are they really sort of in combat? Because if you've read the news, the Burmese news essentially a day after the earthquake, they all were reporting about airstrikes by the military junta, and there were also counter strikes from different groups, including the PDF. And like I've mentioned, so like you said, it's very, very deep. In fact, we really don't know how deep it is, because there is also a situation we have in the other neighborhood, Bangladesh. And there are lots of experiments going on over there. We have seen the TB2 drones that have been flying around our borders, Meghalaya, Tripura, then the Siliguri corridor. And that's been of huge concern, and there are great security implications because of that. Therefore, the gut feeling I have here is, I'm not pointing a finger now at China immediately, because China has a stake, they're bringing in the relief, but there could be other actors. Definitely the ISI could have a plan of its own, that this is a time that we can experiment, and this situation gives us the right kind of opportunity to do some experiments and to see whether we can cause disruptions. I think this is how I would look at the situation, insofar as where it could go. But in the non-state actors, I just want to mention this to you. Just want to quickly mention this to you. The non-state actors, which are essentially they are the ethnic armed organizations of Myanmar. They are extremely powerful. The WA, which are essentially the Chinese, they have 50,000 troops, and they have sophistication which are coming from China, trained by China, and these level of sophistication are just not electromagnetic. They are also autonomous electronic warfare systems they've built in place.
All right, so I'll have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on India Global today on a story that has many implications. The bottom line, viewers, really is that when it comes to new age warfare, it's not just going to be about tanks or AK-47s or missile guns. It's going to be about technology, a domain that can have far-reaching implications, because that's how the new age warfare is set to be designed going forward. And what this instance shows is that when technology can be usurped, it can have far-reaching, devastating consequences, and especially and more so when non-state actors operating across geographies, across boundaries are involved. That is one thing to watch out for when it comes to governments around the world.